Good day, everyone. I'm State Representative Brad Halbrook, and I'm joined with my colleague, Dan Caulkins.
Good morning, Dan Caulkins from Decatur. We're here today to talk about the governor's budget address yesterday.
Right. So just a couple of days ago, the governor put out 9 accomplishments that he's done in the state of Illinois in the last 4 years. And so we're going to kind of go through those bullet points point by point and kind of give a response to that. And I think hopefully...
I think people ought to know. They ought to have
Exactly.
you've heard the governor and his boasting about how great he's been over the last few years. Let's really talk about what happened.
Yeah, so bullet point number 1 is he's raised the minimum wage, and he has done that.
He has done that. It was one of the first things he did. But what he didn't tell you is that those wage increases have been diminished by inflation. That inflation has been kind of influenced by the scarcity of goods, the lockdown that created supply chain issues, and of course, excessive government spending. So people are suffering, and here in Illinois. So yeah, we've created a higher minimum wage, but the problems created by Governor Pritzker and the Democrats here in Springfield have more than offset anything that you've gotten in the last few years.
Well, and this hasn't helped. Illinois is like 1 or 2 in the nation for the worst unemployment rate, so it hasn't helped anything. Dan, bullet point number 2 is he's enshrined the right to choose.
Yeah, we've been fighting this for several years now. It's nothing to really be proud of. Planned Parenthood is now advertising along our borders for abortions. They're advertising all over the country for people to come to Illinois and get an abortion, and you, the taxpayers, we are paying for that.
Well, just a few years ago, the General Assembly repealed parental notification. So in essence, with this passage of making abortions more available, Governor Pritzker is now responsible for protecting sex traffickers. I think that's wrong.
Oh, it's terribly wrong. When a young minor girl can go get an abortion without any parental notification, it's just going to create more abuse, more sex trafficking. I met a family this weekend who has a Guatemalan girl from a 13-year-old sex trafficked victim that they've taken in as parents. This is only going to increase that problem in Illinois.
Right. So point number 3, he says he's paid off our bill backlog. Is that some financial wizardry on his part, or how did that all work?
Well, they used to call that voodoo economics back in the day. You take money out of the left pocket and put it in the right pocket and then claim you've got a lot of money.
Right.
This is all a shell game paid for by our federal tax money.
Right. So nearly $200 billion has flowed in from federal sources into our state, into multiple levels of government. The state of Illinois has been the direct recipient of $8 billion. So it's easy to make things look better when somebody else is just handing out cash.
Yeah, give me some money. I can balance my budget, no problem.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and the problem is the whole unemployment trust fund is gotten way underwater, and some of that money was used to bring that back. But in the process, we've accumulated millions of dollars in interest payments, late interest payments, because of the poor management of the governor and his administration.
We asked for them to pay that back with their federal money, and they refused to do it because they wanted to use it for social programming. Finally, enough of you and us put the pressure on Governor Pritzker and the Democrats, and they fessed up and paid the feds back, even after having to pay some interest.
Yeah, exactly. Dan, point number 4 is he claims to have put Illinois on a path to 100% clean energy. Now, he's putting us on a path.
He is.
I'm just not sure it's 100% clean energy.
Well, I think it's a path, all right, and you see it in your electric bills every day. What they've done is that they're getting rid of all of our coal-fired and natural gas generators without having anything to replace them.
Right.
The governor could today put 200 megawatts of electricity back on the grid by allowing our gas generators to fire up. Your electric bills, my electric bills are high because this is the new Green Deal in Illinois.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's been an attempt for the last 2.5, 3 decades to bring alternative energy on. Today, we're roughly sitting at about 11 or 12% of our total source of energy comes from alternatives. And to think that we're going to arbitrarily close coal and natural gas down within 25 years and be 100% renewable, that basically sums it up. 100% clean energy is 100% lie.
Correct. That's absolutely true. So we've rebuilt our infrastructure. Governor claims to have rebuilt our infrastructure. We have put a lot of money into roads and bridges in the last couple of years. How did he do that?
Yeah, so in the May of 2019, the governor and the Democrats doubled our gas tax.
Yep.
And so they've got an excess amount of cash to work with. They're still failing bridges and roads and other infrastructure around our state that is crumbling. And of course, we have an automatic increase in the gas tax every July 1st. So it's a long ways to go yet, but again, he has come to the taxpayer, the people that are paying the freight, and doubled their cost of their fuel tax.
So it costs us all more to get to work every day, and our roads aren't getting repaired as they should, and there's no relief in sight. The federal government has not given us the money that we expected because they look at Illinois and go, well, you guys have got this big gas tax. Why don't we let's take that money and put it somewhere else?
Exactly.
So we're stuck here.
Right. So number 6, he talks about how he has launched and increased the adult use of the cannabis industry,
and that's one of the real problems that we're balancing our budget on sin taxes, cannabis and gambling. This isn't working. It's not sustainable long term because we're not going to see this level of income, first of all, and secondly. This cannabis deal has not worked out. It hasn't worked out for the minority entrepreneurs that want it in. And it's also not stopped the illicit sale of illegal cannabis. With the high taxes, there's still a market. And we see people shooting it out in Chicago and elsewhere in Illinois over drug deals.
Yeah. Number 7, he talks about this 6 credit upgrades. We were in the tank. He talked yesterday about this, that Illinois was just above junk status, and he's moved us up 7 grades, or 6 grades, I'm sorry. So that has moved us from junk to nearly the top, or maybe not?
Less junk, maybe, but I don't know how you go up 6 rungs on a ladder, but the ladder's 10 stories tall. We're nowhere near where we need to be. Illinois is still an F-rated state. Our bonds are still high interest rate bonds. If you're an investor, it's good. If you think you're ever going to get paid back. But this is, and we only got those credit upgrades because the federal bailout money.
Federal bailout. Again, no financial wizardry on the part of the administration. $8 billion worth of federal dollars has helped move us from junk status or nearly junk to less junk status. Dan, point 8, and this is a big deal, ban the sale of assault weapons. This has to be the signature issue for the governor after the passage of the minimum wage increase. What's the status of the gun ban? I know we got a lot of litigation going on.
A lot of litigation. I'm involved in one of those cases in Macon County. We have 4 courts, or 3 courts, 4 cases imposed temporary restraining orders. They believe that our case in the state courts has a lot of merit, and we hope to get to that. There's also federal cases going on in the Southern District, and the governor's has until I think March 1st to respond to some of those deals. We're going to keep fighting. This is blatantly unconstitutional in our opinion, and we'll see what happens.
Well, one of the most hypocritical points, I believe, in that legislation was he allowed Illinois manufacturers to continue to manufacture and to sell to out-of-state. All the while they could not sell in-state, and as you've mentioned and we've talked about this in the past, is a high percentage of the guns that are used in the gun crimes in Chicago flow in from outside the state of Illinois.
That's what we hear from the mayor and the sheriff and the state's attorney, Kim Fox. They bemoan the fact that all of these guns flood in from other states, straw purchases. Now we're going to keep making guns in Illinois and selling them to other states.
But not to law-abiding citizens.
But not to law-abiding citizens. That's here in Illinois.
The last point we want to talk about, Dan, is the claim of historical funding levels to K-12 education. It's true. We've had a couple of committee hearings the last couple of weeks about it. Dan, the results are not there. We're funding at historical levels, but yet what we're seeing in the results is not there.
Well, it's we are putting an extra $350 million every year into education funding. They're now asking for $550 million in the next fiscal year, but there's no accountability. There is nothing that says that this money must be used to teach kids. We are being held hostage by the teachers union, the education industry, and all they want more and more and more. It's an insatiable appetite for money, and yet the outcomes are terrible.
Right. Yeah. So on a statewide average, we've got 2/3 of the kids in public education in the state that can't read and do math at state level. We've got a recent report showed 30 kids or 30 schools. None of their kids, 0 of their kids, can read at grade level, and nearly 60 schools cannot do math at grade level. We need to be talking about alternatives. ESAs, put a path to where the students can choose to where they go to educate. This is probably the best arrangement for parents is for the parents and the kids is to let their have a choice in where they get education.
Well, we do this in the healthcare world, and I come out of the nursing home industry, and the money follows the patient. We didn't get paid because we had 92 beds in our nursing home, and if there were 52 people, we still got paid for 92 beds. We got paid for the people that were there, that we were serving, and they were free to come and go. If they didn't like how we were providing the services, they could go to another facility. We need to do the same thing with education. Parents do not deserve to have their kids locked into failing schools. They need to have the opportunity to move those kids to a school, create this competitiveness now that there's no need to teach these kids. Our teachers are all getting excellent grades. All of them are, I guess, the best teachers that we've ever seen, and yet the outcomes are the worst that we could ever expect.
Yeah, in closing, I've said it in committee and in other times, this isn't fair to kids, this isn't fair to families, this isn't fair to the communities, this isn't fair to the future employers. This is not a good thing for the people of the state of Illinois.
No, it's not.
With that, guys, thanks, and we appreciate your time that you've took to watch this. Please like and share and follow and subscribe to our content, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Dan, thanks.
Thank you, Brad. It's great being with you today.